Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the next segment on this week's Live from the Heartland for the week of September 16th. And I know a lot of you have been waiting till Katy Hogan, a longtime co-host, co-producer of this show, would come back on. She's been very busy, you know, she's always doing a lot of political work. She and I are working on the Heartland Cafe book, and we're very glad to say that it is coming along. And Katy is actually taking a leave from all the activities she's involved with, and she's going on a spiritual journey. Since I've known you, Katy Hogan, you've taken a lot of interesting trips, climbing mountains, going into jungles, you know, hitchhiking around, fighting off would-be attackers. Tell me what you got planned for this trip.
Always interesting to hear what your version of all that is. Hi, good day, Michael. Nice to see you. And tomorrow I'm getting on a plane, hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes well, and going to Spain, where I will join up with a group called Ananda Travel that are the same people I went to India with a few years ago. They are a spiritual group that puts together these journeys to spiritually engaged places. So this time it'll be to go to the Camino in Spain, the famous and ancient pilgrimage that goes to Santiago Compostela, which is St. James Field of Stars, at Field of Stars, Compostela. And it's been participated in for centuries, literally, like since 1000 AD, when somebody began to mark the way. The entire way, I mean, the minimum of the entire way is 500 miles, 600 kilometers. It starts just at the bottom of France, right before the Pyrenees, climbs the Pyrenees, and comes in across the top of Spain. I, however, will be doing the Old Geezer route, which is shorter, and it's the last 100 kilometers. I've read a lot of back talk about people like me who are only doing 100 kilometers, and I don't think it's very pilgrimage-like of people to mock us. But anyway, I'll deal with that when it comes. We both have a friend who's on it right now, and it looks like she's doing the whole thing. And that's, well, maybe she'll come on the show again and tell you about that when she's done. In any case, to me, to do a thing like this, to sign on to do a pilgrimage or some other not explicable to the rest of the world, you know, you're not going to a beach and laying on it, you're not touring big old buildings, although we will do a lot of that. I will see like the biggest and most, I think, still intact center for the Knights Templar of the Illuminati. Historically, it's an incredible place. I mean, and for me, okay, I didn't finish the first sentence. I go to have self-illumination. I go to unite with the big S soul, the big S spirit of the entire gestalt. I don't care what you call it, and I'm not in any specific religious denomination paying attention, although I was raised Catholic with a big C and know all about that ritual and rhyme. And, you know, pretty early in my life, after I discovered that the parish pastor on my South Side parish was an unapologetic racist, he convinced me to check other roads, other forms. And that I did. And so I have been, as you said, I've gone to India and done Hindu-related stuff. I got a yoga teacher training certificate. A lot of that was in Sanskrit, what I learned there. I've walked with Buddhists in Nepal and Native American like Vision Quest activities here in the States. And I just find that taking time off to do nothing more than open yourself up to both the natural world and your own inner world in conversation with the natural world is a mighty force, and it brings me peace, and it brings me strength, and lets me get rid of some of the extraneous BS that troubles us so much in our normal lives here.
Well, let me ask you a question here. How have you been preparing? I know you've been working hard at a job, and I also know that you've been doing physical training. Fill us in on what you've been up to and how you prepare and think you're ready for this great journey.
Right. Well, it is walking, and it's a lot of walking. Even the short amount I'm doing is a lot of walking, and you do need to be prepared for that. In fact, I just came back from having a pedicure, which I had to let her know, do not touch the calluses on my feet. Leave the calluses. They are hard won. What I did need help with was, trimming my toenails so that they don't burst through the very specific socks that you've got to wear so that you don't get too many blisters. So it's learning about blisters. It's learning about what your feet can take. I've been walking with walking sticks in the last couple of weeks, which will greatly aid me from, the possibility of falling over. I recommend them to you, Buster. But
Thank you.
They do. They're very stabilizing, and they take some of the weight off my joints as you're going up or downhill. So the other thing is that I've done a lot of reading, a lot of other points of view on pilgrimage, a lot of specific to the Camino books. I cleaned up my act in the last couple of weeks in a couple of ways to clear my head, as it were. And that seems to be happening.
Well, I got to say, it's been pretty impressive to watch how much you walk. I know you've been putting in 5, 6, 7 miles most days. And so I don't know, how far will you be walking each day on that Camino?
We'll be walking, and this is the short version. We'll be walking between 5 and 9 miles a day. It's very comfortable. It's made for us old geezers. The people who are doing it all the way from the front, they walk 15 to 25 kilometers a day, which is a minimum of 9 miles. So they start their day at my maximum. So that would be something that I'd really have to work on. Although a lot of people just take their first step on the path itself and just warm up and get themselves used to it by doing it, which is a very brave way to go, and something probably I could do easier when I was in my 30s, 40s, and 50s, but not now.
Do they give you an idea about how long you'll be walking each day? And do you stop at various restaurants, or do they bring food to you? I imagine that you stay somewhere each night, and your backpack, your suitcase, whatever, goes ahead and is waiting for you when you arrive.
Right. Yeah, because this whole trip for me is going to wind up being a month, I have a rolling suitcase that will ride in the bus from one stop to the next. And I will be having just a day pack with what I need for the walk, water and whatever. So we all start out in the same, whatever place we've stayed in, generally have breakfast. Lunch is up to us. They give a lot of help in pointing out that there are many stops or few on various walks to find lunch, but our distances are so short, we can actually wait to eat lunch until we get to the town we're going to. So there's a lot of options. It's not going to be terribly, scary or anything like that. And at the end of the day, you normally eat where you're staying or within a very short, in the village next to where you're staying. So,
Katy Hogan, world traveler, how many days will you be walking the Camino?
I will be walking a total of 11 days. We have a rest day in the middle after 5 or 6, and then actually we do go to the end. There's something at the end. The Compostela, the Santiago is where the cathedral is, and a lot of stuff happens there. And for many people, that's it. But Muxia and Finisterre, which means end of the earth, are the real ends of the Camino at the Atlantic Ocean. So we will, in fact, add to our walking after taking a short bus ride to make it a shorter walk, I guess, when we get to the ocean. So 12 days, say, walking, all told.
Well, you're going to develop and enhance your spirituality, your physical fitness, and you're going to come back to Chicago, right here in the middle of the United States. And what do you see coming back? I mean, you're a political person. We've got elections coming up, but not only in the city, but nationally, just a little over a year from now. You got any plans? You got any hopes?
Well, part of why I'm doing this walk now is that I won't be able to do it next year at this time when we are facing yet again a crucial presidential election, and also for Congress and Senate. So I may well be working when I come back on some local electoral work. Basically, what I do is try and get people to vote. I try and organize people who understand it's important to vote to organize others to understand that it's important to vote. And it's annoying that it's still so necessary, particularly when the stakes are so high and have been for the last half dozen elections, frankly, but even more so in the last 2 or 3. We have a lot at stake, and we have a country that is completely confused with itself right now. And I think that we all need to, and I hope I learn something when I'm walking about stepping away from the duality of the simplistic duality of the conversation in the U.S. right now. It shouldn't be us. You're either with us or against us. I mean, how many of us grew up in towns or cities and neighborhoods where there were people of 2 different parties plus some independents living right up the street? We could talk to each other. We could shovel each other's walks. We could play ball together. I don't accept that America is so afraid of one another or the unknown that they're, holding up with their guns and Bible and whatever else and not talking to each other. First of all, you don't own the Bible. Second of all, a whole bunch of leftists have guns. And just stop, because, this whole migrant thing, for example, that's going on, and I just read either in Black Club or Public Square, one of those 2 good sources of local news, that some Dems have been quoted as saying, "Oh, the migrant crisis will not affect our convention in Chicago." Well, I want to know why not. I mean, it should affect it. It should be talked about. It should be pointed to, and it should be asked, as opposed to assault and attack, which I know everybody is so into doing. Thank you, social media. That we should talk about it. We should talk about what it has meant to be northern cities who actually are standing behind our claim of being sanctuary places, and what that looks like. Because guess what, fellow Americans? Just like New York, we might be filled up soon, and we might have to send them to, I don't know, Iowa, Indiana, somewhere else where there's actually possibly work and some shelter for them. I'm trying desperately not to be overly disappointed with my fellow Americans kind of all the time right now. And the way I do that is to look at our neighbors who have made place for migrants, who are working to clothe and feed and shelter them and all that sort of thing. And those are the people who give me hope. That I can't abide and I can't look at social media very deeply because it's too demoralizing, really, for someone like me. But for our elections coming up in March, it's a primary, it's a general primary. So it's not so much city people on the ballot like we had last year. It's Congress people, state senators, state reps, commissioners of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District.
When will that election be?
That election is Tuesday, March 19th. And so what's going on in the fall, and you'll see it happening right away, is people are collecting signatures for their nominating petitions. Everybody who gets on the ballot, all people, including delegates to the convention and judges and whatever all, they need to get signatures to get on the ballot. So that'll be happening from now until the early part of the year when they have to turn them in. And then, and then it will be, the noise and detritus of a presidential election will take over everybody's minds. And, we have presumably a picked Democratic candidate, which is the president. And so the Republicans' dance will probably get the most coverage, such as it will be. And I pray for America. I hope we can mature this year.
We're gonna get through it, and you and I tend to be optimistic. We have friends that aren't, but everyone is involved in trying to make things better. And we know that you've played a great part all along the way. From the day I met you, you've been something else. I want to thank you for being my partner in the Heartland Journal, this radio show. And I'm looking forward to you coming back really strong, really healthy, full of enlightenment, and ready to tear it up on the electoral front. Thank
you, Michael. I appreciate all of that. Love you dearly. And I'm very excited that our book is in manuscript form. So congratulations. And that makes me feel good to go off knowing that that's where we're at.